what's up guys, Annnnd here with Hood Rat Racing Co. coming at you with another video. And as you can see, we're getting down to the wire here. We're almost done. We still have a lot to go, but as far as getting the car running and driving, and being able to go on the road, we're pretty close, but we still have more we need to do. So in this episode, we're gonna be focusing on the front bumper. This is the original bumper cover to this car. It's not in the best condition, but it's what we have, and I don't feel like sourcing another one right now, especially for the plans I have for this. Now, if you guys are familiar with the 79 to 82 cars, or even the Celine 4-ride cars, they actually had a front valance that went around and kind of gave it a more like a GT style look, if you want to say. And I really dig it. It's got that old school like IMSA or VTA style that I really like. So originally I was going to wait to order that and then paint the bumper and install it all in one shot. But we're kind of running out of time weather-wise, and I want to get this car on the road before the winter's here. Obviously, the front valance can go on later. That's not a big thing, and that's definitely something I will cover because there isn't really a lot of information about it. The valance I want to go with is a xenon urethane front valance. Again, it's very limited info on the product, so if any of you guys are familiar with that front valance, let me know what you think of it and how the fit is and everything, and what I can expect when installing it on my front bumper. So with that being said, that's something that can get installed later. So we're going to get this front bumper painted and put back on. Now again, this bumper cover isn't in the best shape. As you can see here, these lower fins did separate from the bottom here. It is what it is. That's how it's always been, actually. Since I first got the car, it's always been like that. But when you have the bottom flat mounted to the radiator support, it does a good job of pulling everything back together, and you can't really see it anyway. But we have this thing stripped down. Anything that doesn't need to be on there got pulled off. So I've just been sitting here scuffing it, getting everything ready. Now, one thing to note is, depending on what your car you have and what front bumper you have, there are fender extensions that correspond to the bumpers. So, for example, I believe 79 to 82 didn't have them. The way the bumpers are shaped, it made it up with the fenders how it was originally designed. But as Ford went on through the years and these cars got different facelifts for the different years, they did add fender extensions, which basically, as you can see, there's holes in this one, bolt on, and it rests right under where the molding sits on the fender. So depending on what year you have to have those corresponding ones. Again, 79 to 82, I believe, didn't have them. If you had a GT or a pace car, the whole lip, it was like a 3-piece air dam that wrapped around the whole bottom, including the fenders. So it all fit like that. 83 to 86, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they are all the same, because in 83, if you had a GT, you had the cutouts for your fog lights. All the way up until 86, all the GTs had the fog light cutouts. Even the SVOs had them. Now, as you can see, this bumper didn't originally have them. I added them. But, again, what we're doing with that front valance, it pretty much will delete all of that, so it's not really a big deal to me anymore. So, yeah, 79 to 82, nothing. 83 to 86 has their own extensions. And then 87 to, I think, 90 has their own. And then 91 and 93 has their own. I could be wrong about that, but that's what I've been seeing on the forums. So there's a couple different ones, again, depending on your trim and what bumper you have in your year. So just something to keep in mind. So the plan is to get this bumper painted, get the fender extensions painted. Later on in the week, hopefully the paint cures fast enough that I can do this. I want to mask off or get the headlight buckets and this front molding painted here, the same satin black that we've been using all across the car. I still need the door moldings. I know that. Hush. It'll be fine. It's like $140 for the pair. Give me a break, guys. So I want all this stuff to be matching when it's all said and done. So however we can make that happen is how we're going to make it happen. So I went through and scuffed this thing up with some 220. Addressed some of the more problem areas that had some deeper gashes and whatnot. Again, this bumper cover isn't perfect, and I know that. And again, it's very important. How far do you want to go with this, right? I've never been striving for perfection with this car, and in a lot of ways it shows. But I feel like the car's still a good 10-footer, and this front bumper will definitely make it a good 10-footer. So, yeah, I'm going to get this thing outside and start spraying it, and we're going to see what happens. All right, so we got the bumper cover painted. And again, it's not perfect, but it'll definitely do the job. I ended up just bringing it inside and painting it. I pulled the car out, sitting in the driveway right now. it's a little cold out tonight, and I didn't want the paint to start reacting in a funny way because y'all know how spray paint acts in the cold. But bumper cover's one color again. It don't look too bad. It'll match the rest of the car pretty nicely. And again, once we get that aftermarket valance and get it fitted on, it'll have more of that look that I'm going for. Now, this car originally was down south. I believe it was South Carolina, and I believe they had license plates on the front of their cars. So unfortunately, this one did get drilled for a front license plate, but it's part of the story, right? Where this car came from, the life it lived. So I'm not too upset about having a couple holes in the bumper, you know, it is what it is. So I'm gonna let this dry for a bit. This is the third and final coat of paint anyway, and I'm running out of black. So let this cure for a while, and then I'll hit it with the clear, and from there, should be okay. So we'll see what happens. All right, guys, so the bumper's been out here drying for a couple days. It's looking really good, cured up really nicely. I just left it in here undisturbed. Just wanted to let it do its thing. But even though the bumper cover isn't like perfect, right? It's in kind of rough shape. It definitely looks good. So the next step for this is we need to paint the headlight buckets and the molding strip on the front bumper here. You can see we got our new emblem from LMR. Shout out to them. They have hooked me up with a lot of stuff on this car, a lot of stuff that you just can't find anywhere else. NPD has been a big help, but LMR has been the main thing for a lot of the specific stuff that you just can't find anymore. So shout out to them. I actually just got my shipment that had this badge, and depending on what year car you have, there are specific badges to like the size and whatnot. But because LMR has been such a big help, I had to throw one of the stickers on the radiator cover. So I like putting stickers on stuff, but I didn't want to do it in a way that, you know, made the car look riced out, I guess. I'm trying to keep stickers to a minimum. But in our order, we have the shorty antenna, which I installed. It's just a little 8-inch dude, just because I didn't like the huge stock one. We got that badge, and then we got our front fender moldings here. I think these were like $20-something a piece, which they're really nice quality. And thankfully I have enough of these like nuts, like molding nuts, that I can reuse to put these back on. So the game plan, I guess, basically is tomorrow morning I'm going to come out here, start masking off the bumper so we can spray the headlight buckets and whatnot, as well as getting these moldings painted and installed. And I do still need to extend the light harness here. So maybe I'll start doing that tonight, or maybe I'll do it tomorrow. Not really sure yet. This side's been good, but that side definitely needs it. So another thing I need to do that I just remembered, I didn't take into account that the bumper cover has these mounting brackets that go on the back side here. And lo and behold, it ends up running into this cluster of wiring I have here. So what I'll probably do is get like a small piece of rubber tubing, and I'll glue some to the bottom edge of that bracket here so it doesn't chafe on any of the wires. But yeah, hopefully tomorrow we can get the bumper cover reinstalled, so I'll let you know how it goes. Alright guys, so it's the next day. I'm down here messing with this headlight wiring. So I might have mentioned this before in other videos, but when I redid the harness and laid it all out, it actually pulled these headlight connectors back a little bit and basically made them too short. So what I just got done doing is basically going through each connector on this side and extending it, as well as all these connectors are in really good shape, right? But this marker light connector was pretty weird. So basically what was happening, let's see if I can get this bulb out with one hand. Come on, there we go. So there's a lot of this like peanut butter residue. I don't even know what this is, but you can kind of zoom in on the connector here. There's a lot of like gunk in there. And basically what I started doing yesterday was getting in there with a pick and trying to like get all that stuff out, because basically what's happening is it smears over the contacts when you put your bulb in, and it just wasn't having a good connection. So I investigated it further, and I cut both of these marker light sockets off the harness, and I threw them in a bucket of Chem Dip because they were really nasty and had a bunch of road grime and stuff on them, and let those soak overnight. And this is the result of what we have now. It's not perfect, but, you know, again, it's fine. So I ended up popping this cover off. It's not glued on or anything, or maybe it is and it just wasn't holding anymore. But there was more of that peanut butter stuff in here. Like they literally, like, it seems like, I don't know if Ford did it. I hope they didn't. But they packed this socket full of this grease type residue. And obviously over the years it starts, you know, hardening and coming apart, and it's just gross. So what I ended up doing is spending like a good hour like picking at this connector, just getting all the grime out of it as much as I could. And then because every little crevice, like, I don't know if you can see, there's a hole here for your ground, and there's little slots in the face of the connector. Actually, this might be one of them. Yep. But that like peanut butter stuff fills all of that. And I'm assuming that's to keep water out of the socket and keep this from corroding and failing, which is fine. But why didn't you use like silicone? Like, I feel like there was a better alternative to this. So in my eyes, all of these holes on the face of the plug are blocked off, right? They're all pressed up or inserted into the marker light housing. So I'm not concerned here. My only concern was where the wires go into the connector. So once I got done picking everything out, I ended up just filling this cavity with RTV and then placing the cap back on and cinching it down. So this side's all done now. We got all our wires lengthened and everything's good to go. I do still have to degunk that connector, which I'll show you guys, and we'll get that side reattached, and then we'll go out, start working on the front bumper, get these moldings painted. There's still a couple other little things I need to do, like I need to top off the trans fluid. I lost trans fluid when I was reinstalling it. Probably get new wipers for it, just like little stuff that it's not super important, but stuff I'd like to do before I bring the car back out, because I do want to put some miles on this new setup and see how it does. But yeah, so I'm going to start getting that thing cleaned out, and then I'll show you what we're working with. And so as you can see here, there's still quite a bit of this gunk in there. I've been slowly digging it out. But yeah, it like fills like every little crevice of this connector. So I'm going to keep working on cleaning it out and put it back together. Alrighty, so we have our connector mounted back on here. It's all complete now. Don't look too bad. This cap doesn't really want to fit on as best as it like did from the factory, but should be okay with the silicone and everything, so we're just gonna run it. So basically that completes the repairs we have to do to the wiring on the front here, and now it's just gonna be working on the front bumper, so let's get to it. All right guys, so as you can see, the front bumper is installed. It's looking really complete. So we got all the lights back in, got my GTO style headlight covers on. I absolutely love the way these things look on these cars. It gives it like that Mad Max freaking, I don't know, road car look. I don't know, it's sweet. I still have to get the fender extensions done, and as you can see, the bumper isn't completely bolted in. I have these two front bolts in, and then I have each back bolt on each side in. So the only things I really need to do is put the fender bolts in, hang the bottom of the bumper to the radiator support, and then get like the fender extensions on and get the front lip on. But it's getting there. Again, this bumper cover isn't perfect, but for the look we're going with the car, this looks absolutely phenomenal. I'm so stoked. It looks so good. So I'm gonna keep continuing on. I picked up some trans fluid so I can top off the trans. Yeah, it's coming along really smoothly. I couldn't be happier about it. So I'm gonna keep going on and let you guys know where we get to. All right guys, so another thing I wanted to tackle on this car before we really got into it was getting the mufflers put back on, because I'm sure my neighbors wouldn't be happy about me firing this thing up at 5 o'clock in the morning with open headers. So as you can see, we got our thrush welded 2-chamber mufflers put back on here. I ended up running out of welding wire, so I had to clamp this end together and then bolt it on, and then I had to fab up some weird hangers, but they'll do just fine. I'm not putting the tailpipes back on because I do want to get the drop tips for it. I believe Pipes Exhaust makes them. I could be wrong, but I think it'd be a really nice look for this car. But in the meantime, a set of mufflers will do. It'll drone a bit, but it is what it is. So yeah, we'll get this thing fired up and see how it sounds. All right guys, so as you can see, front bumper and everything's all back together. Looking really good. This car's pretty quiet right now. These mufflers do a good job of looks good. Like, it just looks great. It's not perfect, you know. It still has its flaws, but man, we came a long way. Well, I think that'll wrap up this episode. Thank you guys for tuning in for the whole series. And for those of you guys that have showed your support and have helped me out with this car, you know, doing the build and whatnot, I cannot thank you guys enough, man. Like, this is fantastic. So hopefully we'll get a couple nice days out. It's a little cold today, but we'll get some nice days out and get some driving footage, and we'll let you know how it does. So thanks again, guys, and I'll catch you in the next video.